Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and progressive overload is the only way you are going to gain muscle as a drug-free lifter. Flat out, full stop. All right, a quick reminder though, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so. If you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I'd appreciate it so much. Thank you. Let's get over to the topic. Obviously, guys, I'm almost 50 years old. I've been around this game a really long time, coached a long time, lifted a long time. And before we even go into any discussion of science, let's just be clear. I have never, ever in my entire life met someone who was natural, even a bodybuilder, who had any appreciable, like legitimately solid amount of muscle mass, who was not really strong. Okay, that has been my lifelong experience. I can't think of a single exception. And it makes sense because progressive overload is the pathway by which you're going to gain muscle. And I think when people hear all this other stuff, I think what they're forgetting, you're talking about guys on drugs. Usually guys on pretty significant amounts of drugs, not just a little bit. When they start talking about, well, time under tension and creating this type of fatigue and getting a large amount of mind-muscle connection, chasing the pump, drop sets, Okay, well, you have to understand all of this fatigue and stuff they're oftentimes chasing with a lot of this, or worried about things like continual tension. This is the stuff that's only going to work for people on drugs, because even training volume itself, fatigue does seem to be a big factor. Like if people get on enough drugs, just generating fatigue in muscles is enough to cause serious muscle growth. Like they could do sets of jumping jacks to failure and they're going to gain muscle. But all this stuff is oftentimes these people, a lot of these guys, a lot of the coaches who are serious pro bodybuilders and things, they're promoting, hey, oh yeah, time under tension. That has no meaning. Okay, and it's not even a factor in muscle growth. But they swear by it, and it's like, well, this is my secret. And it's like, well, no, you're doing something that's creating a lot of fatigue and volume while using lots of drugs. Of course you're going to get bigger. I mean, you get bigger from the drugs anyways at a certain point. But yeah, but it's not going to work for someone who's natural. It's going to be meaningless. And if they get bigger from it, it's because they progressively overloaded it over time. Okay? They progressively overloaded it. The pump is not a growth stimulus. The pump can be a good sign of some good stuff going on. It's not a growth stimulus. Drop sets, stuff like that, right? All these force reps. For people who are not on drugs, those don't have a growth stimulus either. And again, stuff I've pointed out with a lot of data, with looking at how muscle fiber recruitment and growth works, it makes sense. Someone who's been training a little while, they're not on any anabolic substances. Things like drop sets, and I mean quick drop sets where it's like, oh, we're using whatever, 100 pounds. We go to failure, go to 80 pounds, go to failure, like immediate short breaks. I can tell you right now, it's not going to cause any muscle growth at all for people who have already finished their noob gains and they're not chemically enhanced. Okay? Because it's not getting back to the upper threshold muscle fibers again. The ones that grow is just hitting a bunch of intermediate fibers again, which can grow from drugs, right? Drugs will continue to make those grow. But people who are in a normal hormone range, they've been training a year or two, that stuff mostly stops growing. You only are going to get there with the fastest twitch fibers, and those can't be recruited again in like 30 seconds after they fatigue. It won't work. They will not reactivate. So really what we're looking at, progressive overload. Now, should the sets be hard? Of course. So when you say progressive overload, I'm assuming you're doing fairly hard work. And eventually you'd get, hypothetically, if you kept stopping way short of failure, but you kept adding weight, eventually you would start getting hard work in, all right? But when we say progressive overload, I don't mean cheating, right? When we talk about adding weight or adding reps, we don't mean through any means necessary. It doesn't mean, well, I started bouncing the bar off my chest. I started half repping it. Yeah, none of that's going to do anything. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that if you reach muscle failure, you start doing half reps, just trying to get a deeper burn, it's not going to do anything. Not for the drug-free guy. Those are wasted reps. Okay, wasted reps. Because we're back over to you're taking out tension. So don't mean reducing weight. or we don't mean reducing range of motion. We don't mean bouncing. We don't mean more cheating with progressive overload. We mean while maintaining the same range of motion, hopefully a close to full range of motion, right? Maintaining the same range of motion, the same form. So if you were using a little bit of cheat or body English or leg drive, using the same amount and adding weight over time or adding reps, but you're not going to add reps indefinitely. It's going to come a point where it's like, look, you're going to need to start adding some weight to the bar or the machine or whatever you're doing. Your weighted pull-up, you're going to have more plates over time, right? Progressive overload. And the reason for that is that you have to disrupt that homeostasis in a muscle. All right, gaining muscle for humans, we're very resistant to gaining muscle. There's all these discussions of myostatin, and no, I don't think we should be messing with myostatin inhibiting drugs. A lot of this is there for a reason, is to keep us from gaining muscle that we don't need to gain, because it keeps us alive during famines and ice ages, keeps us from starving to death and not have too much muscle. So humans as a species are pretty resistant to gaining muscle. Our body only gains it when it has a physical need to where it sees as a safety concern. Man, that is really subjecting that muscle to some tension repeatedly. Those muscle fibers, I'm going to have to make them thicker to accommodate it if it's chronic over time. But that tension isn't just weight. We do need to be clear. It increases mechanical tension and progressive overload, in muscles if you're able to add reps also. So again, if you have a weight you can only do 8 reps with, but using that same form you build to 9, to 10, to 11, that will increase mechanical tension on a lot of the muscle fibers also, because that's what we're looking at. That tension gets increased on those fibers when the other ones are too fatigued to do it. So again, that's how we apply mechanical tension also, is to take sets really close to failure while you still have muscle fibers that haven't been recruited. That will then put more mechanical tension on those fibers, right? They'll be recruited, they'll have tension placed on them, they'll grow. But again, you have to take it to where your body is doing more work. If it doesn't feel the need to grow the muscles to keep you from tearing it or to keep you from getting hurt, your body is probably going to not gain muscle. And it's just the way humans are built. So again, that's why you have to go harder. You have to basically, any muscle that you want to grow without drugs, you're going to have to work it harder and harder. Notice I didn't say more and more. You're going to have to work it harder, meaning you can't just add more and more sets. That's not going to work either without drugs. You're going to have to increase the load on a set-to-set basis that it is subjected to, either with more straight tension, weight tension for more weight, or by adding more repetitions with the same amount of weight through the same range of motion, putting more tension on the muscle. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.